It happens on a random Wednesday. You're going about your day, nothing unusual, and then your phone buzzes. It's an email or a call, or you open your mailbox and there it is. A bill you didn't see coming. Your car needs a repair that costs $650. Or your kid's school sends a fee you completely forgot about. Or your landlord tells you the rent is going up starting next month. Or worse, you get a medical bill that makes your stomach drop before you even finish reading the number. And here's the part that makes it so much worse. You check your bank account and you already know what you're going to see before you even open the app. Because you have zero savings, not a small cushion, not a little bit put aside, zero. And now you're sitting there with a bill you have to pay and no buffer to pay it with. If this is you right now, or if this has happened to you recently, I want you to take a breath, because panic makes every decision worse. And in the next few minutes, I'm going to walk you through exactly what to do step by step when you have zero savings and an unexpected bill lands on you. Not vague advice, not you should have saved more, the actual decision tree for what to do right now. My name is Jack and I spend way too much time thinking about exactly these kinds of situations. If you're dealing with this right now or want to be prepared in case it happens, make sure to hit subscribe and give this video a thumbs up. Let's get into it. First, before anything else, let's deal with the emotional part, because your brain right now is probably doing one of two things. Either it's spiraling into panic, imagining worst case scenarios, or it's freezing completely, avoiding the problem because looking at it feels unbearable. Both of these responses are completely normal. Your brain is wired to treat financial threats the same way it treats physical threats. It activates the same stress response that would trigger if you were being chased by something dangerous, except you can't run from a bill. You have to think clearly, and panic makes clear thinking almost impossible. So here's the first actual step, not a money step, a mental step. Say this to yourself out loud if you need to. This is a solvable problem. It might not feel good, but it is solvable. Because here's the truth. Almost every unexpected bill, no matter how bad it feels in the moment, has more than one possible path forward. Your job right now isn't to panic, it's to find the best available path. Now let's get into the actual decision tree. Step 1. Determine if this is truly urgent or if you have any breathing room. Not every bill needs to be paid today. This is the first thing most people skip, and it's costing them options. Ask yourself 3 questions. Is there a real deadline, or is this a flexible timeline? Is there a genuine consequence for paying late, like a service shutoff or a legal issue? Or is the urgency mostly self-imposed pressure? And is partial payment an option? Here's what most people don't realize. A huge number of bills have more flexibility built in than people assume. Medical bills almost always allow payment plans, and providers rarely send anything to collections without multiple warnings first. Utility companies typically have grace periods and hardship programs. Even rent, in many cases, has more room for a conversation than people expect. Knowing your actual timeline changes everything. If you have 30 days instead of 3, your entire strategy shifts. So before you do anything else, find out the real deadline. Call the company if you need to. Ask directly, what happens if I pay this in 2 weeks instead of now? You'll often be surprised by the answer. Step 2. Look at what's actually available to you before assuming you have nothing. This is where most people make a critical mistake. They see zero savings and mentally jump straight to, I have no options. But zero savings doesn't mean zero resources. It means you need to look somewhere other than a savings account. Here's the order I want you to check, from least costly to most costly. First, is there anything you can sell quickly? Not big items necessarily. Think about anything unused sitting around. Electronics, tools, clothing, furniture you don't need. Local marketplace apps can turn unused items into cash within 24 to 48 hours in many cases. This sounds small, but for bills under a few $100s, this alone can sometimes cover it entirely. Second, do you have any unused credit available that isn't high-interest debt disguised as a solution? I want to be careful here, because credit cards can absolutely make things worse if used carelessly. But if you have a card with available credit and you have a realistic plan to pay it off within 1 to 2 billing cycles, this can be a legitimate short-term bridge. The key phrase is realistic plan, not hope. A plan. Third, is a payment plan directly with the biller possible? This is enormously underused. Most companies, especially medical providers, utility companies, and even some landlords, would rather set up a payment plan with you than have you pay nothing at all. A payment plan often means zero interest, unlike credit cards. Fourth, do you have access to a 0% interest option, like a family loan or a specific hardship program? This is not embarrassing. Asking someone you trust for a short-term loan with a specific repayment date agreed upon clearly is a completely reasonable financial tool. The people who build the strongest financial foundations are often the ones who aren't too proud to ask for help when it makes mathematical sense. Fifth, and only after all 4 other options are exhausted, a personal loan or last resort borrowing option. This should be your last stop, not your first, because it usually carries the highest cost. But if it's genuinely the only path and the bill is unavoidable, it's better than defaulting entirely or missing something critical like housing or utilities. Notice the order here. Selling items and negotiating payment plans cost you nothing extra. Credit cards and loans cost you interest. The goal is always to move down this list only as far as you actually need to, not to jump straight to the most expensive option out of panic. Step 3. Prioritize which bills actually matter most if you can't cover everything. Sometimes the unexpected bill isn't a standalone problem. It's colliding with your existing bills, and now you genuinely can't cover everything this month. This is where prioritization becomes critical, because not all bills carry the same consequences. Tier 1. The absolute non-negotiables. Housing and utilities that keep you housed and safe. Rent or mortgage. Electricity, water, heat in cold climates. These protect your basic stability and should almost always be paid first, even before the unexpected bill itself, if you're forced to choose. Tier 2. High consequence but slightly more flexible. Car payment if you need the car for work. Essential medications. These matter enormously but usually have a few more days of flexibility than Tier 1. Tier 3. The ones that feel urgent but actually have the most flexibility. Credit card minimum payments. Medical bills. Most subscription services. These typically have grace periods, hardship programs, or minimal immediate consequences for a short delay. Here's what most people get wrong. They panic about the loudest bill, which is often a credit card company calling repeatedly, instead of protecting the bills that actually keep their life stable. A credit card late fee is annoying and it does hurt your credit slightly, but losing your housing or having your utilities shut off has consequences that are dramatically more severe. If you're forced to choose, protect Tier 1 first. Always. Step 4. Communicate before you default, not after. This is the step almost nobody takes, and it's genuinely one of the most powerful tools available to you. Companies, landlords, and service providers deal with people in financial hardship constantly. You are not a unique case to them. What they actually dislike is silence. A customer who goes quiet and simply doesn't pay is far more frustrating to deal with than a customer who calls and says, "I'm dealing with an unexpected expense. Can we set up a payment plan or push this deadline?" Here's a simple script you can use for almost any biller. "Hi, I'm dealing with an unexpected expense this month and I want to make sure I handle this responsibly. Is there a payment plan available, or is there any flexibility on the due date?" That's it. Most companies have entire departments built specifically to handle this conversation, because it's in their interest to get paid eventually rather than not at all. Proactively reaching out before you miss a payment rather than after dramatically increases your options and almost always results in a better outcome than staying silent. Step 5. Once the immediate fire is handled, build a plan so this doesn't happen again the exact same way. I know this feels like the last thing you want to think about when you're mid-crisis, but even a 5-minute plan now saves you from repeating this exact scenario next time. Here's the minimum version. As soon as this bill is resolved, before doing anything else, open a separate account, even if you can only put $5 in it to start. This isn't about the amount right now, it's about creating the container. Then set up the smallest automatic transfer you can genuinely sustain, even if it's $3 a week. The goal isn't speed, the goal is building the habit of a container existing, so that next time, zero savings isn't the starting point. Over time, that container grows into a real buffer, and the next unexpected bill stops being a crisis and starts being an inconvenience. That's the entire difference an emergency fund makes. Not that unexpected things stop happening. They don't, but your relationship to them changes completely. Let me tell you about someone I'll call David. David had zero savings when his car needed an $800 repair, right in the middle of a month where money was already tight. His first instinct was panic. He almost put it entirely on a high-interest credit card without thinking it through. Instead, he paused for one day. He called the mechanic and asked if partial payment now with the rest in 2 weeks was possible. They said yes. He sold an old gaming console and some tools he hadn't touched in years, which covered about $300 of it immediately. He put the remaining $200 on a credit card with a specific plan to pay it off within one billing cycle, which he did. The repair got done. Nothing got shut off. No bill went to collections. It wasn't elegant. It wasn't perfectly planned, but it worked because David didn't freeze and he didn't default to the most expensive option out of panic. He worked through the options methodically in order and landed on a manageable solution. That's genuinely the entire goal here. Not perfection, a manageable path forward. So here's your action plan if you're dealing with this right now. 1. Take a breath and remind yourself this is solvable. 2. Determine the real deadline. Call if you need to. Don't assume urgency you haven't confirmed. 3. Work through the resource list in order. Sell something. Check available credit with a real payoff plan. Ask about a payment plan directly. Consider a trusted short-term loan, and only then consider a personal loan as a last resort. 4. If you can't cover everything, protect housing and utilities first, always. 5. Communicate with billers before you default, not after. 6. Once this is resolved, open a separate account and start the smallest sustainable automatic transfer, even if it's just a few dollars. That's the complete path. Not glamorous, not instant, but it works, and it's the same path that gets you from zero savings today to having an actual buffer the next time life throws something unexpected at you. Because here's the truth, the bill you're dealing with right now is stressful, but it's not permanent, and it's not a reflection of your worth or your intelligence. It's just a moment. Handle it methodically, and it becomes something you got through, not something that defines you. If this video helped you figure out what to do right now, make sure to hit subscribe. And if you've been through something like this before and want to know what actually got you through it, drop it in the comments, because someone reading this right now might might need to hear exactly what worked for you.